Okay, folks, you're all very welcome to a panel of lived experience experts who are going to be speaking about therapeutic photography and how it's made a difference in their own lives. I'm going to introduce Bernie Lagan, Mary Nolan, and David McKinney. I'm going to start off first by briefly summarizing some of my takeaways from our conversations together at Belfast Exposed leading up to this panel. And they spoke to me of therapeutic photography, breaking cycles of negative thoughts, taking you out of your head, making you see the world in a different way, getting your head off the ground, looking up and all around you. It's about being held by a group, going out and visiting places that you've never been before, a way to document or track recovery, resilience, agency, an opening to the world, losing the fear to be outdoors, entering, responding to the world all around them. So we began, I guess, by talking about, who they were and who they became as a result of therapeutic photography. And I'm going to first just give you a little bit of background information into their life story. So I'll introduce Bernie, Mary Nolan's, and David McKinney's bios, and then we'll start off with Bernie Lagan's story of therapeutic photography. So Bernie Lagan, who's to my left and your right, is a 67-year-old woman from Cookstown, County Tyrone, who lives alone. I have 4 children and 16 grandchildren. I've been part of the Mindfulness Therapeutic Photography Group since the beginning, and it was my first outing after 2 years of shielding during COVID. I was introduced to therapeutic photography by Sam Cunningham of Age NI, and I'm now a volunteer for Age Well, a trained walking leader involved in getting people of all abilities out in nature for their physical and mental health. She's also part of Newtown Abbey Friendship Group, and she says, I don't believe I would be doing all of these activities now if it wasn't for the photography group and particularly the support of Mervyn and Samantha, who made me believe in myself again. So following Bernie, we'll have in the middle some voicing her life story from Mary. And Mary Nolan is a mother of 9 children, and she's a grandmother to 37 grandchildren. And she's carried post-traumatic stress since she was a very young girl. She can now tell her story of the inward struggles she endured throughout the years and what it was that finally brought everything to the surface and changed her perception of life. She wanted me to share that today she speaks on behalf of all of the girls and women between the ages of 19 and 80 years old who were institutionalized in the Magdalen laundries. Mary says, I want to give them a voice through my photography. She's also taken creative writing classes at the Derry Playhouse, which has resulted in a digital exhibition of experiences by girls and women institutionalized in the Magdalen laundries. And this has been a production by Soul Purpose Productions and Marion Hotel. And then our final speaker will be David McKinney, who's a 50-year-old man from Ballymena. You might have seen his exhibition in Belfast Exposed. He's a former chartered surveyor who retired from his profession after a mental breakdown 3 years ago. His artistic journey took a significant turn when he discovered the healing potential of photography through Belfast Exposed therapeutic photography program. This newfound creative outlet paved the way for his first solo exhibition last year called Beyond the Tide, which focused on suicide awareness in the over 50s, following the loss of 3 of his friends in his age group since 2016. And David is currently pursuing a Master's of Fine Art in Photography at the Belfast School of Art at Ulster University. So I'm going to begin with Bernie, and then Mary, and then David.
Hello, it's working. Hello, everybody. I actually feel I'm a bit nervous, but I'm actually very proud to be here today. After 2 years shielding alone in isolation due to ill health, my first outing afterwards was Belfast Exposed with the mindfulness photography group, and I was nervous, but I was hooked immediately. I went through a burglary in my house during the night during COVID, and was very lucky that the only room they didn't come into was mine. And my biggest fear was COVID had us all so scared that instead of what did they take was, did they bring COVID in? So I was already suffering from lack of physical interactions, like hugs and from my children and my grandchildren, and just generally people coming into the house. But I got to the stage where I was afraid to go out, literally afraid to go out to the shop, to go anywhere. And then when Sam Major and I introduced me to this photography thing, I decided I'd go, but nearly didn't. Only my son threatened to come, who's over 6 foot, threatened to come and physically carry me to Belfast Antrim Castle Gardens. But it's the best thing ever I've done. I went through a lot of things through my life, but to have the outdoor therapy, meet all these people who I now call my friends, because I think there's about 8 of us that were there in that original first day. I call those people my friends now, and then David joined later, and we can all talk to each other. And what I really love about it, I've had therapists before and counsellors before, but what I like about it is you're outside and they're walking side by side, and Mervin's a wee bit sneaky, He knows when somebody's just not right, and he can head you off at the pass, and the next thing you know, it's just you and him, or maybe you and Samantha, and you're walking side by side, and the next thing you spill your guts and you float out of the forest or wherever you're. Been seeing nature in a different way, he always says, look up, look around you, and listen. Listen to the sound of nature, listen to the birds, listen to the water. And it's great advice. Now I do it all the time. As my family had said to me, my sisters, when we go away, 5 sisters, say, you need your head on a swivel, because, I'm always looking around for things, and I see different things. It's not just even when I'm with the group. It's really in my head now all the time. And just looking through the lens and capturing that moment. And when I look back through my photographs at one stage in Antrim Castle Gardens, upstairs in a room. And actually, I can still feel the shiver that went down my spine. I was shocked when I saw how dark my photographs were, because I had known for years I'd been wearing a mask, an invisible mask, but in front of everybody I was all smiling and laughing, but I wasn't smiling and laughing inside. But even in the photography I could see where I'd always an obstruction to whatever I wanted to photograph, and after so long I could see how much I'd removed those barriers, and that was amazing. That was just amazing to see that, and to be able to see that the barriers were there in the first place, where I thought I was putting this nice wee weed in front of a seascape. It just looked so ridiculous when I was looking back on it, but it wasn't. It was just, that was me and my invisible mask, and now it's different. And I just love getting out with. But the thing is about it, it's not. Every day is not good. Every day isn't good, but I can always find some good in every day. But I also know that I need to, for my sake, and to keep on improving the way I am and how I've changed my life, I need to keep turning up to the photography. But that's easy, because that's out in nature. Should it be raining or snowing, doesn't matter. But it's because of that, as you've said, that, I'm now a trained walk leader by Nicola Arbunkel, and I'm involved now in so many different things and really enjoying it, volunteering with Adriel, helping other people, and it's just lovely. It gives me such a buzz when I see I've helped somebody else. But I know I wouldn't be doing this only for the photography, because I think by now I've just curled into a ball. I had been suicidal and very angry when when I wakened up the next day. But now I'm so glad. I'm so glad I met Mervyn and Sam and everybody, the whole chain that led me to Belfast Exposed. It's fantastic.
Get Mr. Ticker for the images. Go.
Hello, I'm Mary Nolan. In 1972, I became a victim of the Troubles. I was full of fear and trauma after being abducted and held for 6 hours and interrogated and beat. A few months later, at the age of 15, I was a victim of the Magdalen laundries. I was forced to live and work beside girls and women aged from the age of 14 to 80 years of age. I was torn away from everything familiar and made to become a slave in a convent's laundry. Nobody ever asked if I was all right. I was hidden away from the world behind the cold, concrete walls. I didn't receive counselling or comfort from anyone, including my parents. I'd been brought up in a privileged background, and both my parents worked and owned their own home and bought their children all the material things they needed, including nice holidays. However, my parents didn't show their affection to me as a teenage daughter. As soon as I had a voice, my parents couldn't deal with me. The feeling of fear, trauma, and isolation became normal to me, and it was carried with me throughout my adult life. Nightmares and trauma haunted me. There was nobody I could talk to at the risk of being harmed. All this changed for me 4 years ago when I heard about Wave Trauma Centre, which was founded by Alan McBride, when he realised there was nowhere for the victims of the Troubles to release their fears and share their horrible experiences. My outreach worker at Wave helped me to share my trauma that lay deep inside my veins. Wave found meaningful courses for me, and I also joined a group for Magdalen laundry victims. I was referred to the therapeutic photography course at Belfast Exposed. There I met people who had been victims of challenging circumstances. After a time, we all relaxed and became great support for each other. None of this would be possible but for Mervyn, Sam, and Deirdre at Belfast Exposed. We meet every Tuesday and learn about the workings of the camera and how to get good photos. We feel important going outside at different locations, getting our best photography shots. We get great support, and I was excited to have my photos featured in an exhibition at Belfast Exposed called Seeing Through a Different Lens. I feel so proud of myself that I could present photographs of the ruins of the convent that haunted me for over 52 years. I feel it is vital for me to tell the world about the girls and women who were captive in this convent. This has been possible through my interest in showing the photographs I produce, and also through the great encouragement I have received from the excellent organisations like Belfast Exposed and Wave. I now have that voice that remained hidden in me all those years. It has been a therapeutic journey for me, and at the age of 68, it's a great inspiration. And before I finish, everything I see now, I see as a photograph, and I think these will all make a beautiful photograph small.
Yeah, just before we start, I want to clarify that unlike Bernie and Mary, I don't have any grandchildren, so I've got a bit of catching up. So Bernie said I was sort of later to join the group. I'd been a missing person with suicidal intent after having suicidal thoughts for 15 years, so there'd been a long decline down, really had hit rock bottom, and was looking for some sort of form of expression, and found Belfast Exposed therapeutic photography group, which has been transformative to me, has changed the direction of my life entirely. That the things that were holding me back before, family business and pressure, has all been let go of without any regrets. But with my first few outings with Belfast Exposed, there was the group, and I suppose I had social anxiety, so I was very nervous at the beginning. The group would turn right to take photographs of flowers and pretty things and waterfalls, and I would turn left, and I'd photograph the dark stuff if there was an upturned tree or something like that. I suppose I was showing intuitively or subconsciously, it was just, I was starting to unpack stuff. But through that journey of 2 years, really, it did change. And soon I was walking in step with the others. And as Bernie said, a big part of it is that you're photographing, it's taking you out of the moment, but you are falling into step, and it's a very sympathetic. Everyone else has their own baggage, has their own history, and you don't have to talk about anything. You can just chit-chat away, but occasionally, the deeper, meaningful conversations come out. And I think it's that, not sitting opposite each other, it is the walking side by side, being in the environment, being outside, all of that helps. I was thinking that, during my breakdown, I suppose I wasn't wearing glasses, everything was blurred, I was misconstruing things, didn't see things as they really were. And then, after my breakdown, I was starting to recover, and through the photography, I was seeing things again properly as they really are. But then, by taking the camera to my eye, there was another lens again, and suddenly it is, I think you both said that you're seeing shape and form and seeing photographs everywhere, and taking my perception of the world around me, not into just big blocks of colour, but into the detail in life, in nature, the colours of leaves, the shapes of things. And I do that everywhere I go now. It used to be that if I was going out for a walk, I'd have to wear my earphones. I was trying to block out the world, I'd block out my thoughts. And now it's, I wouldn't dream of wearing headphones if I was out for a walk. It's to hear the sounds around me and see the colours, and to take pleasure and find joy, which there is now. The other thing I found really useful was that unpacking the things I couldn't fully understand myself, this mix of things inside that I hadn't been able to talk about, that I hadn't expressed to my family or anyone else. And then they were coming out in the photographs. So it became a second language. I was able to show how I was feeling visually before, and that then led on to talking about it verbally. And I came to the first therapeutic photography conference 2 years ago now, was very anxious about walking from the train station, the social anxiety about having to make small talk during the breakout periods to all these people I don't know, to walk into a room and not know people. And I got my mobile phone and I started photographing, and within minutes I was out of that mindset and I was fine the rest of the day. So it doesn't matter what camera you've got with you. I've got an exhibition, I'm absolutely thrilled, but I still don't know how to do everything in my camera. It doesn't matter. It's just using the tool you have at hand, and the mobile is with us all the time. So that's been the key thing. And forgive me if I'm still on time, make sure I haven't missed anything. The only thing I'd say, you hated COVID because you were locked in the house. I loved COVID because I could escape the world. So for me, going out was the journey. So thank you.
So, folks, we began just a little bit late, and I really want to take our full time slot. I have one question for you, and I'd like to open it up for a few minutes to the audience as well for questions, if that's okay. The question I have for you, all of you, is what guidance would you give to someone who would like to deliver a therapeutic photography group, do's and don'ts? Because I know a lot of people in this audience are very interested in being therapeutic photography facilitators. How could they get it wrong, and how could they get it right?
I think everybody needs to find their own way of doing it. Mervyn actually put it very well whenever we started, was it's not about how many photographs you take or what you take the photograph of. You don't even have to take a photograph, but just to see around you and you decide. You don't need crowded when you're in that state. When I went there, I was so nervous. I met Geraldine looking for the group. She's here, so I don't know where she's sitting, but we've been friends ever since, and you just find your own way of how you're going to deal with it. And actually the social aspect, and Mervyn's right about the scones. The tea and scones are very important, very, very important. Even if it's tea and a biscuit, just sit around and have that. It's a social aspect. It gets you out of your own head. And I actually think I didn't tell people around me at home what I was doing. I was a bit selfish in that I wanted to be away from people I knew to experience this. And it's only recently I've started telling people about it. So don't rush somebody. If you want to do it, give people a chance. Don't say you must do this, or I want this many photographs, or I need this photographed, or any particular images or themes. Just let people do what's coming in their own head, because even as the course, as you get on it longer, how you see the same image changes. That would be my advice, just.
Well, my reply would be, it's very, very important to look at everybody as an individual when they go along to these different courses and things, because everybody deals with trauma in a completely different way. As me, as a child, I was 15 years of age, and it's something I carried for 52 years, whereas the like of Bernie and David, they were adults. The unfortunate thing about me was I had nobody to turn to, because maybe it was my generation, but there was nobody. But there's only one piece of advice I would offer would be to always ask people, are they all right? Because nobody ever asked me that over all those years, and I had to carry that. But when I go along to Belfast Exposed, it's like a family. I make scones, I bring the scones along now, and we have our wee chat and things like that. And if you're feeling down, you'll always get support. I love going out, taking the photographs. As I say, I see photographs everywhere, including here this morning, as I said. But it's given me more confidence.
Yeah. For me, the based on my experience only, the don't would be, if you're going out, to avoid the urban environment. We sometimes go in an urban environment, mostly out in nature, but it's when we're in nature that really, I think, there's more positive, more positive things to photograph and to hear and to see. So that always works best for me. And the do's, the therapeutic photography, it works. It helps break the cycle of negative thoughts, takes you out of your head. But the thing that has led me to being here, and the previous speaker mentioned it, is validation. And for that, she'll be embarrassed for me to say, I've said it before, but I'll say it again because I don't think she fully appreciates the positive impact it's had on my journey, and that's for Samantha, one of our facilitators, Sam. After we take the photographs, we send them in, and I would always get a bit of feedback, something positive. And when I was feeling low, because after my breakdown I was still suicidal, it was a spark of positivity, and it did sending the photographs, that was great. It was finishing the task. But that little bit of feedback, that just took me somewhere else and gave me the confidence then to meet Deirdre and have a review of my photographs and one thing and the other. And now I'm doing a fine art degree in photography, which I'd never have imagined. So that it does, I can't overstate it.
Thank you so much, David. Do we have time for a couple questions?
My name's Brona Cora McNichol, and I've worked as a facilitator, and I've used therapeutic photography in my practice as a facilitator, but also as an artist I've used maybe a lot of post-production. And so, David, I've seen your exhibition, which is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. So I'd be really interested in your post-production, the therapeutic value of that aspect of your work.
Yeah, thanks, Brona. I mean, I forgot to mention that. Taking the photographs for me was one thing. So it's the gift that keeps giving, because you take the photograph, that's great, you're excited, you get back, you download the photographs and look at them. But for me, it was just the experimentation, Lightroom, Photoshop, by messing about with them. So I would then find something by changing the colours and, make things colours they shouldn't be. I suppose for me it was also a metaphor that what you see is this, but what was inside was something completely different. So that has sort of carried through to the exhibitions, that it's not just the photograph, but by manipulating the photographs, I'm finding something in here. As soon as I get a lump in my throat or I feel my eyes starting to go, I think, that's it. I found I'm unearthing something and I'm connecting with it. And that really has been the constant. Plus, I just love it. It's great fun. And it keeps the photography element of it going beyond the day of being out with the group. Is that okay, Brona? Thank you.
Okay, one more question, folks, way in the back there.
Hello. Hi, my name is Bulbul. I'm a PhD student at the University of Manchester. My question is about the whole panel. How do you navigate your positionality when you're clicking photography as a therapeutic tool for others? Thank you.
Sorry, just for clarification, what do you mean by positionality? You mean physically, how you're standing, or what are you?
You as a person, your background, where you stand. I mean, it's up to you how you define your positionality. I can't really state.
Well, I'm not sure if you mean from the state we were beforehand, but certainly for me, I've grown in confidence. I had been confident in my career. As a chartered surveyor, I was a professional. The things that had been my past glories, being made a fellow of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, having a judicial appointment and all these other things, I didn't place any value in those whatsoever. And I felt like a failure. I think that's the key thing now, that through the photography program, that I don't feel like a failure. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's that's my bit anyway.
Hello. I find that I take my photographs more on a personal level. I didn't realise this at the start, but it seemed to be when I'm taking a photograph, it would be all something that would mean something to me inside. Unlike David, I wouldn't be taking photographs of flowers and things. I would be taking photographs of people or different situations and things. And I did the exhibition over a year ago, and it was based on the Magdalen laundries. I had the tiles and bricks and things. So I was able to show people in the exhibition what it was like, the tiles and the coldness of it. But I got great satisfaction from that. And when I take photographs, I look at them and I can see that personal connection. As I say, I've got a different style than most people, but my personal one, it sort of goes back to my life, holding in for those 52 years. And now I'm a person, now I have more confidence.
My first traumatic experience wasn't actually in adulthood. It was when I was about 11, actually 11 and 12, and none of my family knew anything about it, and I haven't discussed it here, and I carried it. There's just been a few things, and I've carried that all my life. I've got a Crohn's disease, which is an incurable illness, which I've suffered and wasn't diagnosed with, and I had all of these things to deal with. I've had counselling, say in a room counselling. It doesn't ease the pain of the tension of Crohn's and stress. I've worked all the time. I was self-employed most of my life, but counselling side by side, sitting face to face in a room, it doesn't ease the tension and the stress and the actual physical pain that's in there. It took me busy to rear a family and do my job. I had to work. I didn't have a choice more than anybody else is trying to raise a family and keep a house. But when I got older then and I felt I wasn't needed anymore. I actually didn't feel useful. Nobody, yes, they wanted me. Yes, I was loved. But I got to the stage where I didn't want to live anymore. I just felt I wasn't needed. And I had attempted suicide before the break-in and all of that in my house. And that's where the photography is so different than the rest of the therapies that I've had, because I was able to, with direction from Sam and Mervyn, and even when I'd call into Belfast Exposed, and Connor, I can't believe how much I know them all, and they're like another wee family as well as my group family. That pain, that tension that was in my body from my toes to the top of my head eases. As soon as I know I'm going to photography, I usually have a good night's sleep. And if I was joking with you, I might sleep in last night I wasn't, I don't. But I would recommend it, highly recommend it to anybody, but just do it. If you're thinking of facilitating it, do it on a way that the person doesn't feel pressure, don't feel pressurised. I think that is really, no homework. No, and seriously, in some of the counselling sessions I've had, there was homework. No homework. If you feel like taking your camera out, take it out, use your phone, do whatever. If you don't, that's fine. Just don't put any pressure on. It just has changed my life immensely. That's my opinion.
Thank you so much. So please, a round of applause for Bernie, Mary, and David. Thank you so much.